Well, good morning. Good, beautiful Wednesday morning. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and we will be glad in it. I'm so glad that you've been able to join me for just a few minutes this morning for a verse of Scripture over in Exodus 13, verse 17. A verse of Scripture we're going to study, and Lord willing, we're going to look at several verses in the book of Exodus over the next several weeks. And we're going to study this verse, and we're going to think about where we are on this Wednesday in the middle of the week, and we're going to point our faces toward a Bible-believing church on Sunday where we can go and we can be a blessing and we can also be blessed. Today we're going to look at Exodus 13, as I've already said, verse 17. So let's read that. It says, "Then it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that God did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. But God said, lest perhaps the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt." So it's a very interesting verse here. Of course, this is the story of the children of Israel being led out of captivity in Egypt. Pharaoh and Egypt have suffered a series of plagues, and they have now told the Egyptians, or rather the children of Israel, to get out of their country. So the children of Israel have accepted many gifts, and the Egyptians have given them many riches, and they are now on their way. But this verse tells us something. It says that God led them, that He did not lead them by way of the Philistines, although that was near. So there was a near way. At the time, there were basically two ways to get to where the children of Israel were heading. There was one way that led out in one direction and one way that led out in another direction. And there was a short way and then there was a bit longer way. But both ways were heavily fortified. One was heavily fortified by the Philistines. One was heavily fortified by the Egyptians. So God did not lead them by the nearest way. That's the point here. He did not take them the closest way. And He gives His reason. He said, lest perhaps the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. See, God knows our hearts. God knows our hearts. Many times we are on our way to doing something for God. And if God takes us directly, what happens is we see what's ahead, we see the mountain, we see the challenge, we begin to fear, we begin to quake in our boots, and before we know it, we have turned away and we have returned to what is comfortable. God knew this about His children. He knew that what it was going to take was time, and it was going to take trials. It was going to take time, and it was going to take trials, tests, to make these people capable of taking the land of Canaan, taking the promised land. And what I would tell you is God knows the same about you and me. He knows the same about you and me. Many times when we get ready to do something, God does not lead us by the closest way. Instead, He takes us a way that, quite frankly, sometimes we don't understand. Sometimes we say, well, why do I need to do this, and why can't I just go do that? Some people want to start a ministry, but God leads them by way of test and time to develop capabilities and abilities and connections in such a way as that they then are ready for the ministry when He's ready for them to be in that ministry. That's what I would tell you today. Don't get discouraged if God is leading you on a indirect way. Don't be discouraged if time and trial and tests are weighing upon you. Don't be discouraged. God is preparing you for what's ahead. He doesn't want you to turn around. He doesn't want you to quake in fear. He doesn't want me to go back to what is comfortable and live there instead of doing His glorious purpose for our lives. He wants us to be out there, and He wants us to be pressing forward with praise and purpose, trusting Him and obeying Him as we go. And that's the lesson we should learn today from what God told us over here in Exodus 13:17. He knew that the children of Israel would turn around and go back to Egypt if they saw the war that was ahead. But with time, with trial, with trust, He led them to develop the abilities, the capabilities to then go and achieve the purpose that He wanted them to achieve. I want you to be encouraged today. I want you to believe that God has a purpose for your life, and whatever is going on in your life, it's part of Him preparing you for that purpose. You be encouraged today. I love you. I know you love me. I pray for you, and I so appreciate you praying for me. I pray for this nation. I pray for this world. I pray that we will turn back and we will begin to look and follow and pursue the purposes of God. You be encouraged today. I hope you have a great day today. I hope you have a great rest of the week. And I hope that Sunday morning will find you in a Bible-believing church where you can go and be a blessing and also be blessed. If you don't have such a church, you come, if possible, and join us in Frogsboro, North Carolina, and we would just be glad to have you and love you, and you can become part of our congregation. You have a great day.